get a lot of comments. Good afternoon, by the way. Good afternoon. Good Sunday afternoon. Hope you all having a wonderful Sunday afternoon. This has been a pretty challenging couple of weeks, but I'm making it. You know, and after the storm, there's always a rainbow, so I'm making it. I get a lot of comments. Sometimes, most of the time, I answer the comments back. I'll like the comments if it's a good comment. If it's somebody being negative, I'll sometimes ignore it, or either I'll say a few words back, but I won't go into a long. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. But turn this down. I got a comment from Miss Nisi, and I guess it's a woman. It's Necy, and she went in on. She kind of pulled my card, I guess you could say, or she posed a few questions, and I'll read to you what she said. She says, "Good morning, Mr. Anthony. Could you tell us more about you and your day-to-day going? We've heard enough about Kwame. How can we purchase your books? What are the titles? Where are you from? Nothing too personal, but we can learn about Kwame Brown from him. What inspired you to publish, or what inspired you to write books?" And I'm trying to read while I'm driving, which this is very illegal. I'm sorry, but I would like to write about a book about my life, but I don't know where to start. One more thing. What is a Geechee man? Well, I'll start with this. I'm not going to stop making videos about Kwame. As long as he's making good points and as long as he's for the people, I will continue to make videos about him. He's been an inspiration to me, and I think he's been an inspiration to so many people. And I believe that he enjoys people like me to commentate and to elaborate on some of his videos. We don't agree on every single thing, but the bottom line is he has a good heart. I believe I have a good heart. I know I have a good heart, but it's my opinion. But if you ask anybody that knows me, they'll probably tell you the same thing. I'm a pretty good person, and I thank you for this comment. This is a very insightful comment. Now, what is a Geechee man? I don't know if you want me to elaborate on what a Geechee man is in specific, or what a Geechee person is. I made videos about the Geechee Gullah culture, or the Gullah Geechee culture, but that I can't sum it up in one video what a Geechee person is, because I consider myself Geechee simply because I'm from South Carolina and I've been exposed to the Geechee culture. The Geechee culture is probably one of the most original cultures in African American history in this country, because the Geechee culture comes from the African culture, which we brought over from Africa. And it involves a lot of different things: the food, the language, the dialect, the religions, the ceremonies. But ultimately, Geechee for me is my attitude, my dialect, the dialect I can speak, my family's dialect, being from South Carolina on the coast, the East Coast. We eat a lot of rice. I can't even put into words, in simple terms, what a Geechee person is or a Geechee man is. A lot of us are dark-skinned people, dark melanated people. Some of us are light-skinned. But we all have a sense of humor. My sense of humor may not come off that much on these videos because I'm trying to be a little more serious. And we all have some quick tempers. Not all of us, but a lot of us have some quick tempers. Kwame is is the definition of a Geechee person. I am. We live off the land. in the world, people? I got a guy on a motorcycle next to me. I guess he wants to race. I don't know what he's doing, but goodness gracious, boy, be safe. I'm not gonna race you. That's not gonna happen. Yeah, so you would have to do your research, Miss Nisi. I'm assuming this is a female. The name is Nisi. It's spaced out. But yeah, that's a Geechee in the shortest version I can give you. And you said, another question, you said, what inspired me to write? Well, I've been writing forever. I've been writing ever since I can remember, ever since a little boy. My mom used to make me write letters to all of my aunts and uncles in New York around my birthday time and around Christmas time, in order for me to get gifts, in order for them to send me something for Christmas, my birthday. And so that's when I kind of fell in love, when I realized that there was a sort of power in writing down words on a piece of paper and putting your ideas and your thoughts on paper, and sending them. I didn't at the time, I didn't know what New York was. I thought New York was on a different planet. I didn't know New York from South Carolina is about 800 miles or something like that. I don't know, but you can get there in like 12 hours, I think. But it was like magic to me to write down these letters and these words and put these sentences together and send them off to my aunts and uncles. That was a magical thing, and then to actually get a letter back from them along with the gift. Aside to that, I fell in love with writing stories when I was in the 3rd grade. Probably before that, but I remember writing a story called The Black Prince. The Black Knight. And the 3 main characters in that story was myself, my cousin Sandy, and my Uncle Clay. My Uncle Clay is only 3 years older than me. My cousin is about a year older than me. And we grew up together, so we used to play together all the time. So I wrote a story about the 3 of us going, I guess we were black knights, as in royalty, kings and queens, knights. And that story was I was 9 years old when I wrote that story. Many, many years later, I saw one of my classmates at the gas station. Shout out to my Uncle Clay, too, and my cousin Sandy. Shout out to them, too. I got to do it right for them. So I saw a classmate at the gas station one day, and he was, me and him was best friends at one time when we were little kids. His name was Adam Hilton, white guy. And we got to talking, and he said, man, my mom saved everything from all of my childhood. And he said, I was looking through those things, and I found that story you wrote in the 3rd grade called The Black Knight. He said, man, you could really write when you were young. And I said, wow, okay. Yeah. Till this day, I wonder if he still got that story. If he does, I would love to see it. I may ask him about it if I see him again. But yeah, and why I write though? Why I write? Writing to me is magical. I mean, literally magical. And I think any writer will tell you, any writer with actual books in published print form will tell you that writing is an actual magical, it's real magic. It's real magic. Ask Stephen King about his book Misery and how he wrote this story about this writer who was bedridden, could not get out of bed because they had gotten into a bad accident, and this lady, a fan, obsessed fan, pretty much brought him in and started torturing him and making him do all these things. And then years later, Stephen King was actually walking on the road and got hit by a car, a van, I think. A van hit him, and he was bedridden, and he was going through a lot of the things that he had written about. So I'm careful about whatever I write. I'm very careful. My phone keeps closing, so bear with me. I gotta. More about my day-to-day. Pretty much, my day-to-day consists of I get up first thing in the morning, brush my teeth. But I'm not even gonna lie to you. The first thing I do is write. I don't brush my teeth. I don't wash my face. I go straight upstairs because a guy once said, a guy by the name of Robert Olson Butler. He's a professor at the University of Florida. Yeah, Florida Universities, Florida State University, the Seminoles. He's a professor there, and I took one of his creative writing classes online. And he said the faster you can get upstairs and start writing, the better, because you're still in a dream state. Your mind is still in a dream state, and it's absolutely true. That's why I said when I got that poem from Maya Angelou the other night, I woke up and I started writing it down because I was still in a dream state. And the longer you can hold that dream state, the better the story is gonna come through. So that's the first thing I do. Then after I write, then I go and get something to eat. I know not all the time. I don't always get breakfast, but I go and wash my face, brush my teeth, get my clothes on, lotion up, and all that stuff. And I get on the road and I go to my first location, my first hospital. I am a field service engineer, and I work on blood analyzers. And I work on blood analyzers throughout the state of South Carolina, some parts of North Carolina, some parts of Georgia. I've been doing this for over 2 years now, and it's a very rewarding job, and probably the best job I've had in the States. As far as pay goes, as far as the freedom, my management is good. My coworkers are good. I don't see any of my coworkers every day. I never see my coworkers. It's just me, So, after I come home from work, if my wife is off, she'll maybe sometimes she'll cook, or if I'm off, I'll cook first. We alternate. Sometimes we order food. Sometimes we eat cereal. But I come home, tell my kid, hey, tell him about my day a little bit, ask him about his day, and that's about it. I don't write at night anymore. I used to write at night, but then after I get off from work, I may do a few push-ups, sit-ups, or something in the room, just to keep myself a little physically fit. I was going to the gym every 4 days a week before COVID. Now, I'm not risking going into the gym and catching COVID. So if you are doing that, more power to you. But it's a risk every time I go into a lab. Every time I go into a laboratory, that's a risk. So I don't want to double that risk. Plus, I got to go and stay in hotels every now and then. I'm trying to, have as little exposure as possible. Where can you find the books? You can find my books at my website, writethisway.com. That's WRITEDISWAY. What inspired you to write your books? I'm guessing that you want to know what inspired me to write each book. Well, my first book I started writing that's a book called Little Boy Black, and I wrote that book when I was 15 years old. I can't find that book now. I don't know where it's at. That's lost. And that book was about 35 pages long. It was more like a short story. And I wrote that book after going to Harlem, New York to visit my relatives one summer. My first time going to Harlem. I was 13 years old, 1989 and 1990. And when I came back home, that I still had that impression on my brain, that the city, because I went from my town probably has realistically 2,000 people in it. We had one store growing up. Well, actually, we had 3 stores, and then 2 of them shut down. Then the last one shut down. Then we didn't have any stores. Now we have 1 gas station. I don't live in that town anymore. I live in a different town, but the town I live in now it's a little bit bigger. I mean, they have, we got a blinking yellow light in that town at least. But when I went to New York, going from a country boy, I mean, when I say country boy, I don't mean, I'm literally talking country boy. Barefoot all summer long. We would set up camps in the woods, me and my brothers and my cousins. We would have camps. Like, we would go in the woods and set up like actual bivouac, if you're familiar with that term. Like, we'll be in the woods all day long, playing, fishing. We'll get on that railroad track and go down to the trussels and fish. And then we'll come home and clean the fish and fry the fish, or either we'll take those fish and put them in a different pond. We stayed in the woods. Never got poison ivy, never almost stepped on a snake one time. But for the most part, we used to go and swim in swimming holes. Not really swim, but find a swimming hole and go and play in it like a swimming pool. And then I go to New York, and it's pavement everywhere, and it's different smells, and it's different noises, and first time seeing so many black people in one place in my life was Harlem, New York. Harlem, New York. I have never seen so many black people. It's all black. It's like 90% black and 10% Puerto Rican. Did not see anybody else. First time seeing crack vials. The ground in Harlem in 1989, 1990, the ground was just a colorful, it was an assortment of colorful vials, empty vials that once held crack, and everybody sold crack. I won't say everybody, my family didn't sell crack, but everybody, all of my uncle friends sold crack. Everybody, kids were selling crack, and it was never a dull day in Harlem. So after I got back from Harlem, 2 years later, I wrote that story, Little Boy Black, and it was about a little boy who was in Harlem, and it was about his everyday life, sitting on the stoop, watching things go by, watching the crime, watching the drug sales, watching the fights, playing in the parks, playing basketball. That's what that story was about. That inspired me to write that first story. My second story, that inspired me to write the first book. It didn't get published, but it was a book. It was about 35 pages, but it was a book. You can't tell me anything different. The second book that I started writing, and I'm still not finished writing that book, I still don't have a title. As a matter of fact, my next book that I'm going to finish is going to be that book. And I started writing that in 1999 after I had gotten out of the Army. I went to be with my wife in California, and I was also going to school to be a diesel mechanic in Phoenix, Arizona. So when I got to California, me and my wife really didn't know each other all that well. So we got to talking one day, and we were just talking about different aspirations and goals. And I told her that I write, and she was pretty impressed by that. And she told me, or she asked me a question. She said, "Well, why don't you write a book?" And I thought she was joking. I kind of took offense to it. I was like, what? What are you trying to say? You know, trying to be a smart ass or what? And she was like, no, why don't you write a book? And I'm looking at this woman. My wife is very smart. But this goes back to what I was saying about a woman's words. You guys don't know your own power. When it comes to what you say to your husband and how you show your appreciation to your husband or your boyfriend or your significant other, whatever he may be, common law, whatever. It's almost like our vibranium. It's our superpower. Our superpower is your words. Or our kryptonite can be your words. It can go either way. You can either build your man up or you can tear him down. If your man really loves you, your words mean a whole lot. Now, I'm saying this to the women, and I'm hoping you guys are hearing me. The men know, I'm telling you, the men know. But your words to your man means everything. And especially if you're married and you have children. If you tell that man, listen, I need you to get out there and I need you to show the world what you're made of. Something in his head clicks. Oh man, my wife needs my kid. Bam, I gotta go out there and do what I gotta do. If you tell your man you ain't worth shit, you're a piece of shit, you're no good, you can't do this, you can't do that. That also registers. That also clicks in his head. So my wife told me to write a book, or made that suggestion, and I realized she was being sincere. I got on it. I started writing a book. First time ever actually in my mind thinking this is going to be an actual book, a published book, and this is going to make some book sales. People are going to read this book and enjoy this book. That was the first time, and I started writing that book in 1999, and I stopped, but it was more of an exercise than anything, because that led to me writing Jaja, which came about in 2002. I was in Kuwait at the beginning of the war, and I was bored out of my mind. I didn't have anything to do, so I started writing a story, and that story turned into a book. And that one didn't get published right away. My first published book was Save Miss Caroline. Save Miss Caroline, I was also in Kuwait, a different time. And I said I was in Iraq before, but I got my words mixed up. I was in Kuwait when that book came about. And we had about 3 weeks of downtime before we were waiting on our security badges to get on post. And that took about 3 weeks. So that first week, I started writing. Next thing I know, I had written about 200 pages, 150 pages. So Save Miss Caroline, from beginning to end, the rough draft now, just rough draft. So it's a difference between a rough draft and a final copy, a book form. It took 6 to 8 weeks to write that entire book. Rough draft. To finish the book, it took about 2 years, I think, because of all the different things that came about. And so my first published book is Save Miss Caroline. The second published book is Jaja. I went back like a soldier, and I didn't want to, I had this injured battle buddy in a war. I had to go and pick him up and bring him to safety. So I went back and I picked up Jaja and I finished that book. So the last book was Mech. Mech, I started writing that. Where did I start writing that? I can't remember where I started writing, but I worked on it mostly in Afghanistan. And I think I wrote the first draft in Afghanistan. I think I finished it in Afghanistan. Also with, and now that's the last book to get published. The poetry book came in between Save Miss Caroline and Mech. But the poetry book, I write poetry throughout the years, and I just decided to compile all the poetry into one book, and I published it one day. And that's how that came about. I don't really consider the poetry book an actual book. That's just a compiled book form of all my poems. But somebody, oh, Moccasin Gaming, what's up, man? So yeah, that I'm almost home now. So I got some things to do. I got a little short commercial / documentary thing coming out. So I'll go ahead and elaborate a little bit more on my books and all that when that come out. But I do appreciate the comment, Miss what was her name again? Miss Nisi. I guess it's Nisi. I guess it's a man. Necy. I mean, I'm guessing it's a woman. Necy. I got a few friends named Nisi. But I appreciate the comments. And how did I get them published? I published them myself, self-published, through Amazon, Kindle Direct. It's called Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP. If you Google that, if you're really serious about publishing a book, and you don't want to go through all the hassle of trying to find a publisher, KDP. Nothing too personal. What are the titles? I told you the titles. Where are you from? I'm from South Carolina. I was born in Charleston, South Carolina. Grew up in Dorchester. You would like to write a book? I think that's all of them. We've heard enough about Kwame. Okay, so that's it. I made it home. I gotta call up my cousin. He's coming out to film me. Today wasn't a complete bust. I made this video, so anyways, y'all have a wonderful Sunday. I'm about to go in the house and get ready for this little interview thing. I think that's all I got. Oh, if you're liking the content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the like button. If you're not already subscribed, hit the like button if you like the content. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And if you like to read, check out my website, writethisway.com. Y'all have a good one. I'm gonna go in the house now. It is hot. Y'all stay cool. Stay cool. It's too hot out there. Have a good one. Y'all have a blessed day. Oh, I'm showing y'all this shirt. This is my, what it say? God bless. What did that say? Good vibes. That's what it say. Good vibes. It's hard to read upside down. Anyways, y'all have a good one. Be blessed.